Greetings everybody and welcome back to WagerTalk TV. This is Pavlos to break down the two quarterfinals for Tuesday's Champions League matches. We got some huge matches, of course. Obviously it's the quarterfinals. We got Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal and we got Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. I want to invite you guys to go to my page at wt.buzz/pl. You'll find all my plays there. All my free plays are there as well, both in written form and in video form. I just gotta say, a 5% max bet costs $39, while a 7-day soccer pass is discounted to $59. So you get a whole week of plays, and we got some huge matches coming up in the next 7 days. We got a big midweek slate. We got the Champions League quarterfinals. We got the CONCACAF Champions Cup quarterfinals. The Copa Libertadores and the Copa Sudamericana are just starting. We got the Europa League. We got the Conference League. Then we got a full weekend slate of soccer across the world. And of course, next week's, again, we got the quarterfinals, and there's a lot of soccer going on, and there's discounted prices for 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, and 1 year of soccer. Just, the more you buy, the more you save, and the bigger the discount. So if you get a full year of soccer, you'll also get all my World Cup plays, and all my futures and all my props. So head over to my page, pick what you want. Now onwards to our free play, starting off with Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal at 3 p.m. Eastern. Actually, both quarterfinals on Tuesday are played at 3 p.m. Eastern. Sporting plus 375 favorites, underdogs, at home. The draw is at plus 280. Arsenal minus 130 favorites on the road. The spread is set at 3/4 of a goal, and the total is set at 2.5. Now, not sure I agree with Arsenal's favoritism in this spot. I know Sporting are missing one of their key midfielders, Hjulmand, but Arsenal are not okay either. They got Merino, Eze and Handicapping already ruled out, while Saka, Declan Rice, Gabriel, Trossard and Timber, they're not at 100%, not sure who plays and who doesn't, not sure who starts, but they have a pretty banged up team at this point in the season, so you never really know what happens. So what would Arsenal's money line be if they were fully healthy, like minus 200? I just don't buy it. So Arsenal, they're coming off back-to-back losses in the two English Cup competitions. They got eliminated from both, and that might actually be a good thing, to be honest, as they can focus on the two remaining competitions, the EPL and the Champions League. However, it's no secret that Arsenal have been yearning for an EPL title. Not really sure which is the priority here. I'm not gonna suggest that they're indifferent to the Champions League, but I think they have their eyes set on the EPL, where they're already leading, but City are right behind them, so who knows. And Arsenal are generational fumblers. In the last seasons they've been in title races, they've been in deep in competitions, but they haven't really won any big trophies. So sorry for that. So Sporting, they're still competing in 3 competitions, already through to their domestic cup semi-finals, where they will face Porto, second in the Portuguese league with a renewed interest, if you will. Porto, they dropped points on the weekend, so Sporting, they're currently 5 points behind Porto, with a match in hand, so anything is possible. Sporting can be lethal at home. They won all 5 Champions League matches this season, with a goal difference of plus 11. They scored 14 goals and conceded just 3. And that includes a 2-1 win versus reigning champions PSG. So they don't need many chances to score. Arsenal have been shaky at the defense. So Sporting, they went 7-1 to the both teams to score in the league phase. 0-2 to the both teams to score in the knockouts versus Bodo Glimt. Last season, pretty similar, 6-2 to the both teams to score in the league phase. 0-2 in the knockouts versus Dortmund. And the season before that, 8-1 to the both teams to score in the Europa League. So this is a team that usually scores, usually concedes. Their matches usually start at 1-1, and then anything is possible. So both teams to score at minus 120 is a very decent price, if you ask me, as well as the minus 110 on the over 2.5 goals. And just a couple of notes here. So Sporting, they're playing Arsenal, right? On the weekend, they're playing away at Estrella, a seemingly harmless team, but they're still interested in the league title. Next week, they got an away game at Arsenal, then 4 days after that one, they got a huge match versus Benfica in the domestic league. And keep in mind that Benfica are sitting right behind them in the third spot. So if they lose that third spot, they also lose Champions League for next season. And right after that, 3 days after that match against Benfica, they're playing Porto in the semi-finals. So really, really tough schedule for Sporting. And if you look at Arsenal, it's pretty similar. Arsenal, after Sporting on Tuesday, they're hosting Bournemouth on the weekend in the EPL. Then 4 days later, of course, they're hosting Sporting in the second leg of the quarterfinals. And then it's the big game of the season. 4 days after the second leg versus Sporting, they're away at Manchester City. It's a match that will probably shape the EPL. It will decide, most likely decide who is going to win the EPL. If Arsenal win that game, they're most likely champions. A draw might also keep their hopes alive, but if they lose, oh man, that's gonna start many discussions. They're gonna start doubting themselves, and then it's not getting any easier for Arsenal. They're hosting Newcastle, then they have like 3 London derbies in the remaining 5 matches of the EPL season. They're hosting Fulham, away at West Ham, then home versus Burnley, away at Crystal Palace. And what do I mean by that is that London teams will not make it easy for Arsenal to win the title. So Arsenal, they're banged up right now. They have a pretty tough schedule. And I think that their priority is the EPL. So make with that information what you will. I like both teams to score here at minus 120. Maybe the over 2.5 goals at minus 110, but I wouldn't be surprised by a 1-1 draw. So the best bet here is both teams to score. Moving on to the next one, before the Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich breakdown, I want to invite you guys to like and subscribe to our channel. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about these 2 matches. If you have any like hunch, any goal scoring props, any correct scores. If you want, gun to my head, I take the 1-1 correct score in the Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal, to be honest. So onwards to our second breakdown for Tuesday's quarterfinals in the Champions League. This one is an even bigger game. Real Madrid are hosting Bayern Munich. Surprisingly enough, Bayern are plus 120 favorites in Madrid. The draw is at plus 310. Real Madrid plus 195 underdogs in their own home. So the spread is set at a quarter of a goal and the total is set at 3.25. So Real Madrid, I mean, they've lost just once at home to Bayern Munich in the last like 24, 25 years, and that was through a late own goal by Sergio Ramos, and that was back in 2017. If you look at the rosters, they were pretty different than they are now. However, I do take those historical data into great consideration in these European matches. So the last time these two met was in the semi-finals of the 23-24 season after a 2-2 draw in Munich. Real Madrid won by 2-1 at home and then won the final versus Dortmund. So these are two teams that you cannot easily write off. I mean, they might be losing at the 80th minute and end up winning the game. So they're clutch when it matters the most. It's no wonder they're among the 5 best teams in Europe in the past few decades, if not top 3. So I think there's goals here. I mean, both teams to score, a same game parallel with both teams to score and over 2.5 goals is at a surprisingly playable minus 170. I would expect to find that at minus 220, I don't know, something like that. But at minus 170 might be worth a shot. By the same token, it's really weird to see Real Madrid as the underdogs in Madrid. I mean, if you watched football enough football, soccer in the past, 1-2 decades or even further back, you know that it's not an easy task to win in Madrid. And, to be honest, Bayern, they won their weekend game because the line moved significantly, right? Bayern were plus 150, I think were plus 160, now down to plus 120. I mean, people saw that Real Madrid lost to Mallorca on the weekend, but keep in mind that it was the first match after the international break. There were a lot of players for Madrid who traveled to the US to play, friendly matches or whatever, then had to travel back. They also had to manage their roster ahead of the match against Bayern Munich. So take that result with a grain of salt. And Bayern Munich, to be honest, they did beat Freiburg by 2-3. But They were losing. They were down 2-0, I think, and then they scored the equalizer at the 93rd minute, and then they scored the winning goal at the 99th minute. And I'm actually pretty pissed off by that third goal because, if you know me, I make some round robins with correct scores. I had the 2-2 draw in the Gladbach game, which was confirmed, and then I had the 2-2 draw in the Freiburg versus Bayern game, and that third goal was scored 1 minute after the stoppage time ended. So, I mean, I was pretty gutted by that. But anyway, Bayern Munich won really, they were really lucky, to be honest. So, I think the average bettors are overreacting to what happened on the weekend. But again, take those results with a grain of salt, because Freiburg were also, it wasn't even their strong lineup. They also have Europa League, I believe, quarterfinals coming up in a few days. So again, take those results with a grain of salt. So two plays come to mind here. Same game parallel with both teams to score in over 2.5 goals at -170. Real Madrid plus a quarter of a goal at -110. I might take a piece of that, It's a split line between Real Madrid pick'em and Real Madrid plus half a goal. So this bet wins if Real Madrid win. It's a half win and a half push if it's a draw, and this bet loses if Bayern Munich win. So can Bayern Munich go to Madrid and win? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's soccer. It's the quarterfinals, and Bayern Munich, they're spitting fire this season. But I think it's tough. So I got some props here in this game as well, and I really love these props, right? We got Alvaro Carreras, the left back for Real Madrid. He's at plus 280 to be carded. So he's a very aggressive player, won't hesitate to put his feet on the line for a strategic tackle if Real Madrid have the lead. But he's also hot-headed enough to get into a brawl. So he will be up against Michael Olise, who is this season and last season Bayern's most fouled player by a lot, like by a big margin. So we should be expecting a lot of Carreras Olise duels down that left flank for Real Madrid. It won't take much for a Carreras tackle to get ugly and get carded. So Alvaro Carreras to be carded plus 280 goes right into my books. By the same token, Carreras 2+ fouls is at plus 110, which it's really odd, and another surprising set of odds in this game might also be worth investing in. And for a final prop in this game, for some reason, I don't know, I woke up or I saw this in my sleep, but there is also this is also backed by data. 2-1 correct score for Real Madrid plus 1,000. This showed up in 4 of the last 6 head-to-heads between Real Madrid and Bayern, and Real Madrid won by 2-1 3 times and Bayern won once. And this exact same score also came up in 7 of the last 11 head-to-head matches. So 7 of the last 11 finished with a 2-1 or 1-2 correct score. So, and here's the thing, Real Madrid just lost to Mallorca, right? And whenever they lose, actually not whenever, but there is a big sample of matches this season where they lost a game, and then in their next game, they won by 2-1. So they beat Celta by 2-1 after their loss to Getafe. They beat Benfica by 2-1 after their loss to Osasuna. They beat Vallecano by 2-1 after their loss to Benfica. Earlier in the season, they beat Alaves by 2-1 after a 2-1 loss to City. So, I mean, it's a plus 1,000, so you can't go wrong with that. I'm of course gonna include it in my round robin, correct score round robin for the Champions League. You can find that at my Twitter page at poly_WT. I usually post this also on my WagerTalk page at wt.buzz/pl, so make sure to check those out. And again, guys, get a 7-day pass. We got a lot of matches. I got a 5% lined up. It's not loaded yet, but I'm still looking at some details because I want to get this right. There's going to be at least 3-4% best bets in the next 3 days. And of course, again, if you get a 7-day pass, you'll get all the weekend plays. And of course, next week's plays as well. So head over to my page and you'll find all about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment below, let me know what you think. Just a quick recap here. Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal, I'm going both teams to score at -120, possible 1-1 correct score. Real Madrid versus Bayern, surprisingly good odds at Real Madrid plus a quarter of a goal, -110. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals is at -170, also a good pick. For Props, I'm going Alvaro Carreras to be carded plus 280. Also keep in mind Alvaro Carreras 2+ fouls is plus 110 at FanDuel. And I also like the 2-1 correct score for Real Madrid at 1 plus 1000. Good luck, God bless.